Hello and welcome back. I'm Corey Millen, and after an action-heavy week last week, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier has slowed things down a bit this week with a character-heavy episode with many complex layers and each of the main characters getting their chance in the spotlight. It's another fantastic episode, so let's dive in. We open with a flashback which sets the tone for the episode. Bucky and Ayo are out in the Wakandan wilderness to test to see if Shuri's attempts to get rid of Bucky's Winter Soldier programming have been successful. Sebastian Stan is great in this scene. He's great in most scenes, but this scene in particular, he doesn't have a lot of dialogue, but he shows this huge range of motion which flows with that haunting Winter Soldier theme. From rage and fear as he remembers everything he'd done as the Winter Soldier, to overwhelming relief when Ayo tells him he's finally free. When we return to the present day, Sam, Bucky and Zemo are discussing a Flag Smasher attack on a GRC depot. And we get a monologue from Zemo where he explains his rationale towards superheroes and superpowered individuals in general.
She's a supremacist. The very concept of a super soldier will always trouble people.
He mentions Steve Rogers as the exception to the rule that having powers inevitably corrupts. And this is a callback to the first Captain America movie, the conversation between Abraham Erskine and Steve Rogers where Steve learns why he's being chosen to be given the serum. And that's where we get this iconic line.
Not a perfect soldier, but a good man.
To the little guys.
And this perfectly encapsulates the John Walker problem. He was chosen by the government because he is the perfect soldier, but he is not a good man, as is made painfully clear at the end of the episode. And that's what makes John Walker such an interesting character. He is the perfect soldier, but he's also riddled with PTSD and constantly struggling with the impossible task of filling Steve Rogers' shoes. The stress of this has been bearing down on him since he was given the shield, but it comes to a head in this episode when he's beaten down by the Dora Milaje.
They weren't even super soldiers.
After Battlestar dies, Walker's just seeing red. He is quite literally out for blood, and what follows is chilling, to say the least. He absolutely eviscerates Nico the Flag Smasher, in full view of the public too, who all record this haunting attack on their phones. There is some morbid irony in Nico being the one that Walker caught though, as we learned earlier in the episode that Nico actually looked up to Captain America when he was younger, and his final moments were spent looking up to that same mantle in fear. That final shot of John Walker, supposed to be Captain America, standing there with his shield coated in blood, is iconic. And in universe, that's going to come back to haunt him as well, because I don't think the government are going to let that slide too easily. Anthony Mackie gives another stellar performance in this episode, showcasing exactly why Sam Wilson was chosen by Steve Rogers to be the next Captain America. He truly is a good man. John Walker wanted to go in guns blazing, but Sam chose instead to try and reason with Carly Morgenthau, citing his experience with counselling veterans. A nice callback to his introduction in The Winter Soldier. And he'd have gotten away with it too if it weren't for that pesky John Walker, who showed up right as Sam was making real progress and connecting with Carly. Classic John Walker to make an arse of things. Classic! I think John Walker's big oopsie at the end of the episode could potentially mean that Sam Wilson gets the shield in episode 5. I don't know why I said last week that I thought we'd seen all the trailer footage. I was talking shite. We haven't. There's loads of footage of Sam with the shield that we haven't seen yet. Whether it's Sam and Bucky taking the shield by force or Sam being given it back by the American government, I really hope he ends up with the shield in episode 5, because this episode showcased why Sam Wilson deserves to be the next Captain America. Why anyone would question Steve Rogers' instinct is beyond me. Anyway, I think we're all expecting that by the end of this series, Sam Wilson will be crowned the new Captain America. But what about Bucky? Part of this whole show's reason for existing is for him to shed the Winter Soldier title. With the Wakandan connection in this show, the name White Wolf has come up more than once, which was Bucky's codename, I think, his nickname, alter ego during his time in Wakanda. Could this be where Bucky's story goes after the show? Him taking up the role of the White Wolf? Maybe he'll appear in Black Panther 2, because that may need a stronger supporting cast to deal with the passing of Chadwick Boseman. There hasn't been any word yet on if this show is going to get a second season, but if it does, I would really like for Sam and Bucky to stick together and season 2 to take on a new title: Captain America and the White Wolf. Despite this being a character heavy episode, we do still get some action, and some damn good action at that. The complex nature of all these interweaving characters and stories is smoothly integrated into the choreography of the action in this episode. Walker and Hoskins fighting the Dora Milaje while Sam and Bucky stand with their arms crossed was great, and it really highlighted how fearless and powerful the Dora Milaje are. But it was the last fight of the episode that really stood out to me, with Sam, Bucky and even John Walker getting some unique offense in. And Bucky gets a much better chance to show off his skills this week compared to last week, and we even get the return of the iconic Winter Soldier knife flip. The fact that a lot of the characters fall into this grey area of morality makes these action scenes even more interesting, with Sam and Bucky having to step in to fight the Dora Milaje, not to fight them, but just to get them to stop, or fighting alongside John Walker because in that moment, the Flag Smashers are the more imminent threat. It's just nice to see that this show can have more complex action scenes that defy the typical good versus evil trope. This was also the episode that hammered home to me that this show has its own unique flavour. And by that I mean some technical things like shot choices, use of music, lens choices both for focal length and lens quality. I'm a huge fan of the wide angle walk and talk shots we've had in this show so far. From the long takes to the ultra wide lenses so wide that you can see the distortion in them, to the continuous motion that makes the environments feel just that wee bit more real. The show doesn't look perfect, you know, there's a couple of lens choices that have aberrations and barrel distortion which for me personally just add an extra layer of style to the show. I don't know, I'm just horny for the technical stuff, it's fun for me. Now, I'm about to spitball something that is utterly wank, but I can't help it, it's just the way it's going to sound. Maybe these less than perfect looking lenses have been chosen as a metaphor to represent these less than perfect characters in the show, because for so long they've been put on this pedestal that they are above humans and better than the rest of us because they have superpowers. But we're now learning in this show that they have imperfections and flaws, and maybe those lenses are a representation of that. Maybe, maybe not. I know this sounds kinda daft, but these are things that are taken into consideration when they're making these shows because subconsciously it does actually affect your viewing experience. Next week is episode 5, which has been rumoured for a long time to have a big appearance in it. Now, we've been through all this before with WandaVision, so let's just set our expectations appropriately and not let the same mistakes happen again. Head writer Malcolm Spellman said in an interview, "There are characters in our series who I would love to see partnered with it's a very, very grounded character, partnered with one of the big world shakers like Thor or someone like that. The personality is so strong." What's interesting about this is that the guys who usually have the scoops either don't know or aren't talking, so we really have no idea who this is going to be. We don't even know if it's someone new or a returning fan favourite. There have been a lot of rumours suggesting that Florence Pugh, who's playing Yelena Belova in Black Widow, which is coming out in July, she'll be making an appearance in the show, but I don't see that being a big character. While she might still appear in the show, because of the Marvel slate being shuffled around due to COVID, Black Widow was already supposed to have been out before this show, so she was supposed to be known to audiences by this point. So she's not right now, meaning if she gets introduced in this show, it's definitely not going to have the same impact because audiences won't be as familiar with her. And for a little bit of rumourception, it's been rumoured that Florence Pugh is going to be the new Black Widow going forward after Black Widow comes out. So who else could it be? I'm still waiting on Thunderbolt Ross making an appearance, but I don't think he counts as a big personality, although he does become Red Hulk in the comics, so we'll see. Honestly, I've got no idea who it's going to be. I'm really excited to find out though, and I hope you're excited to find out with me. Thank you very much for watching. What did you think of the episode? I think it, like last week, was one of the show's best yet, and some of the best MCU content we've had to date. I'm getting more upset about the dwindling number of episodes left though, so I hope we get a second season sooner rather than later. Make sure you're subscribed for when new videos come out, and share these videos. The whole point of these things is for me and other MCU fans to just geek out about how good the stuff is, or bad if it's bad, you know, just still waiting for a proper duff. Thank you again for watching. I'm Corey Millen, and I'll see you next week.